Assalamualaikum. This is me Zaili Zawar and we are here at 28th Sustainable Development Conference. Our guest is Miss Aisha Khan, CEO Civil Society Coalition of Climate Change MGP of Pakistan. So ma'am, I have a question for you.
Yes.
And this is what emerging climate risks in the Hindu Kush Himalayas require urgent anticipatory intervention?
It's a very important question, very timely question, because we're going into the 30th Conference of Parties and we see that emissions are nowhere near what they should be to reduce risks. So, what we're looking for in the future is, I think, amplified risks. And because the region that we're talking about, the Hindu Kush, Karakoram, and the Himalayas, is a very fragile ecosystems. It has a vast cryospheric space, which means covered with ice and snow, and the communities living around it are highly vulnerable. So we have to anticipate those risks. We have to think about GLOFs, we have to think about riverine floods, we have to think about flash floods, we have to think about the immediate relief and evacuation of these communities. We have to think of the high altitude. We have to think about when that disaster takes place and when rehabilitation and reconstruction should be provided. Because unlike in the deltaic areas or in the plains, you can take 6-7 months perhaps to rebuild homes for these communities. But in the high mountain areas, you cannot keep them in artificial shelters for very long. If a disaster has taken place in July or August, you have to provide shelter by November because the winter sets in. So there are a lot of different factors in which we need to plan. And I think for mountain regions, especially the HKH region, it is very important to have anticipatory adaptation action that reduce risks so that we do not have the high threat level that we are unable to cope with, that the communities are unable to cope with, and reduce and minimize those risks. Because I don't think that we are in a safe place here right now where we can say that we will manage the disaster when it happens. I think the level of the disasters is going to increase. Science tells us that at the current warming trend, we can stand to have accelerated melting, which will result in flooding initially for the first 10 to 15 years, after which, if the glaciers retreat, we will have scarcity and shortage of water, which will result in drought and desertification. So when you look at both scenarios, what we're talking about is a change in the hydrological cycle, which means a threat to food security, a threat to the water supply system of the communities, and a threat to the ecosystems in these areas that sustain lives in mountain communities and down country as well. So I think all in all, it is very, very important that we take a regional approach and we try and look at it through a holistic, wider river basin management concept, and try to reach some kind of an understanding on why the region needs to work together to safeguard the future, the ecological future, I would say, and the well-being of the nearly 2 billion people who depend on the HKH system. Thank you.